switch me on.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Proton Pack. It's not a toy. My name is Matt. This is episode 5 of the Venkman conversion, where I'm taking my Proton Pack and changing up some of the details on it to make it more closely resemble what we see on the Ghostbusters 2 version of the Venkman Hero Pack. I've got a playlist up here on YouTube, and if you have missed any of the videos already in this series, then you can check out that playlist and get caught up to speed. And I'll add this one to it as well. This video will be a lot of drilling. I've got some plans to drill out some stuff on the motherboard, a spot here on the shell, and there's going to be a whole lot of dismantling the pack as we know it here, and really get into some of the overhaul that I've been leading up to. I've done a whole lot of stuff on the exterior of the pack. This is going to be where we really start taking it apart and changing out some of the details on the interior and stuff I just can't get to without taking the shell off of the motherboard. So this video will start that process. Before I get to it, I do have one hole that I want to drill on the side of the EDA up there, but the first thing you might notice is that it is missing the resistor that I did in the last video with the glue blob. And got some comments and feedback on that, and I agreed that we could have done better. And so I'm going to get some different glue that has more of a yellow or amber tint to it, so it's not this clear glue blob that you end up with. I tried painting it and coloring it, and it didn't look right. And so we're going to punt on that one, go back and try it again. Part of the process of the whole learning on building a Proton Pack is sometimes you're not happy with the way things turn out, and there's a way to make it better. Then sometimes that's what we do. So came in handy that I didn't have it on there, because I was able to put my template up here for the hole that I'm going to drill on the side of the EDA. This hole is a hole that we see on pretty much all of the hero packs except for the superhero. So the Venkman, the Spengler, the Stance, and the Zedmore all had 2 mounting holes here on the side of the EDA. The superhero didn't have mounting holes on the EDA. It was down here on the side of the power cell. So what I'm going to do today is add that second hole. My shell, and a whole lot of other shells I've noticed, don't end up with more than one spot there for the mounting screw to go in. So I'm going to add the second one. One kind of fun thing to note when you look at the pack, the Venkman specifically in Ghostbusters 1 from 1984, the screw was in the second hole, but the first hole closest to the motherboard was left empty. In Ghostbusters 2, it was the opposite way. They had the screw in the one closest to the motherboard, and this one was left empty. So on my pack, I'm just going to drill the hole for aesthetics and leave it empty. I don't believe that my mounting bracket goes up that far. I'm not real sure. I haven't measured it out, but we'll find out. If it does go that far, I don't plan on cutting all the way through the mounting bracket on this one. What I would do is maybe color it black on that end right there, so it doesn't have the metal shining through, if that is to be the case, but we'll find out when I start drilling. So I'm going to use a 3/16 drill bit to drill that hole, which is a little bit smaller than the hole that is necessary for the screw to go in there, and then I might put a screw in there to kind of work through the fiberglass, so I don't want to make it too big. The screws that are used on Ghostbusters 2 are these pan head screws, different from the socket head cap screws that are used on the first movie. So I've got these long ones in my mounting bracket spots, and then later on I'm going to show you where I'm going to use these smaller ones that are the same but only 3/4 inch long. That'll be in a different spot. So I have measured it out. It is not exact to the way that it is on the Venkman by the measurements, just because this hole that was previously drilled on the pack before I got it, when I first bought it, it was already mounted to the motherboard, so I didn't get a choice on where that was put in. It's just off by like a quarter of an inch or three, you know, 3/8, something like that. It's pretty close, but what I did do was measure between this hole and the end of the EDA where it meets the ion arm, and then proportionally space them out based on the measurements on the actual pack and some pictures that I used online, and decided where my hole was going to be, so it basically would be in proportion to the way that we see it on the Venkman pack. Didn't want them to be too close together or too far apart, based on just eyeballing it. So I did do some measuring, and I think it'll look okay once I get it taken care of. So now's the time to get to drilling. All right, it did go all the way through, so that means that the bracket does not extend that far. So that's the scenario I was hoping for. So I'm going to take off the template and we'll see how it looks. I do have a mounting screw right here that I can remove. I'm going to have to take it off anyway. Like I said, I use the long ones on here. Don't necessarily have to be as long as I use, but for some reason having the very long ones on there, this makes me feel more secure about the mounting points on my pack. I know having that much extra on there really doesn't make that much difference, but to me it just gives me peace of mind. All right, so there we have the new hole and plenty of debris. And then you can see it's just a little small for the mounting screw that would go in there. There we go. So now it's big enough for the screw to fit. There is one spot in Ghostbusters 2 where we do see two screws in there at the museum when they first fire on the museum, and we do see two screws on the pack at that point. So if I ever decide to put two in there, it's still accurate. I might just put a little bit of black paint to touch up that hole a little bit and call it good. So that's the first hole to drill today. Reasonably in line with the one that we already have. And Now the part that I've been talking about, where basically I'm going to tear down the pack. I'm going to take the shell off. I'm going to remove the Alice frame. I'm going to take out all the electronics, where for the most part I'm just going to have a bare motherboard for the next holes that I'm going to drill. This right here that's taped off is the spot where I have an autograph on the back of my motherboard from Ernie Hudson, and I didn't want that to get messed up, so I put some note cards over that to keep it from getting scratched up in this process. The next thing I want to do is over here on the power cell. On the back of the power cell on the Hero Packs, there are 3 rivets, and the functionality of it is on the opposite side, on the inside of the Hero Packs, there is a ledge, like a metal L-shaped bracket right here that holds the lights that shine on the power cell, the blue lights. Mine are mounted on the inside of my shell, and I'm not going to change that. I'm just going to drill the holes here and insert the rivets, and just have it be an aesthetic thing. If I ever wanted to change that, I could drill these out and put in a new set of rivets. But for now, it's just going to be for looks. I did measure this off to be what I believe to be accurate for the Hero Packs, or at least these Venkman in particular. And don't have the measurements on me. I had them written on here, but they're covered up with blue painter's tape at the moment. So that's the next thing I'm going to drill out, is these 3 holes. Again, I'm going to use my 3/4 inch, 3/16 inch drill bit to drill out those. And then I have a rivet tool to add the 3 rivets that will go in each of those 3 spots. All right, I'm going to move you guys here closer so you can see what I'm doing. Not that it's going to be super interesting, I'm just drilling holes. And hopefully getting them lined up in a row, because on the real pack, they are virtually in a straight line, if not exactly. So make sure I'm good to go here. That one did look like it drifted a little bit to the left. I did get a clean hole. Let's see how this one does. Okay, again, a little to the left, so I'll try to line this one up as well. There. It might be a little bit off of my template, but they do look to be in a straight line. And you do get quite a bit of flashing from this. So let's sweep that off a little bit. And the holes do appear to be relatively straight. About 1 1/8 from the center of the hole to the edge of the power cell on the motherboard there. So they do look to be straight. That's the good thing. That's what I was hoping for. Now, I've never worked with pop rivets before, so at one point I was thinking of putting some socket head, not socket head, button head cap screws, kind of like these, over here to simulate the look of rivets, but I looked it up and saw how easy they were to do and decided I was going to go for it. So I do have the 3 rivets here. I bought a rivet gun last week on Prime Day for like $10, so it's not the best in the world, but it came with its own rivets. I'm using 4.8 millimeter rivets. If you've never done it before, they have little heads that are interchangeable based on the size of your rivet. Pop the long end down in there, and then this is the end that will go and we'll leave the circle facing the outside. So pop it down in there and just keep squeezing until it pops. Like I said, this is my first one, and so hopefully I did it right. There we go. And then the extra comes out. Might not have the hole big enough on that one. I'm gonna drill that guy out a little more. That one's good. All right, 3 squeezes for him. Right up to the last one. There it is. Let's try one more time, see if I can force it in there. We want it to be snug. That'll work. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So I got my pop rivets for my power cell, or the back of the power cell. The next thing I have planned to do on the Hero Packs on Ghostbusters 2, there are more of these pan head screws that are actually in place in between or next to the giant rivets that we do see here on the back of the mounting brackets. Your guess is as good as mine as to why they were there. Perhaps they cut off the motherboard at those brackets at the rivets when they were working on the packs between Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, and they just needed something else to keep it together. That's my guess. And so they are on the Hero Packs, but they're not on any of the semi-Hero Packs. So this is the one where I'm going This is the one where I'm going to use the 3/4 inch fan head screw because it doesn't go as far as the mounting screw that goes into the side of the pack. So once these are in place, they're not going to interfere with the screws that are actually going in and mounting. These, as before, as I've said, are going to be more of a just for looks kind of aspect to this pack. So I've already started. You can kind of see a little bit of wear there. I've already started with one just to see how hard it would be to kind of get in between the rivets there. I do need to swap out my drill bit. But I'm imagining these might be tough because not only do I have to go through these kind of curved flanges on the rivets, but then I also have to go into the motherboard and then into this pretty thick piece of metal that's used for the bracket. So hoping I don't damage the actual rivets to the point where they're not working as they're intended to. But we'll find out. So I'm going to start real slow on these rivets. This might be something where I have to kind of go back and paint over later. And this one's going to dance around. That's what I'm worried about. I'm going to swap over to a smaller drill bit just to see if I can get the hole started. So that worked. All right. I go back to the 3/16. Same idea. Try to widen that hole before I use the 1/4 inch. All right. Don't think it'll fit yet. Nope. Do need to go all the way to 1/4 inch. Hopefully not any bigger than that. Looks like this is going to be a process. There we go. And it fits. So it's a little loose. I'm going to have to glue it in place, but that's the look that it's supposed to have in between the two rivets, unpainted, and just the normal metal finish of the panhead screw there between the rivets. So I have to do this one. I'm going to do the same with the other three. It's kind of a process. I'm not going to record all of it. Show you what I've got once I finish up. Okay, I've got all 4 of those holes drilled now. They are a little loose, so I am going to put some kind of glue or something in there to make sure that they stay. They're not long enough really to put a nut on the other side, I don't believe, without interfering with other stuff going on there, but I'll check it out. It might be something I can do. So that's all 4 of them. The ones that are on the bottom, I did a little off center from the rivets. I know on at least one of the lower ones on the Venkman pack, it is not dead center in between them. And the other one I can't really get a good look at from the pictures I've been referencing. So I went ahead and did both of them. And it made it a whole lot easier to drill. So I'm happy to have that part of it done. So I figured I should go ahead and show you the end result. I did end up using longer screws than I intended to. These bolts on the back, they do not interfere with the angles of the mounting bolts when they come through. So I was able to use the longer ones there and use nuts to hold those into place. On the upper 2 screws, if you look around on the back, they are rubbing right up against the bracket where it turns, so there's no way to get a nut on there. So I just used some Gorilla Glue to hold those into place, and that's in the process of drying as we speak. And that's about it for today's episode. I do have some more holes that I do need to drill, and I'll do that in the next episode. It'll either be Alice frame or it'll be switching over from splitless loom to split loom. And like I said, for both of those, I have extra holes that I do need to drill. Some of them I did intend to have in this video, but I felt like what we did today was plenty, and I'll have my work cut out for me in editing this video anyway. So be sure to like this video if you've made it this far, and I do appreciate still all the positive feedback that you guys are sending my way. Thank you for that. And like I said, if you missed any of the previous videos in the series, then check out that playlist. And if this is something that interests you going further, now that I do have it kind of torn down, where are we going to go from here? Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of those videos coming up in the near future. I'm trying to do these weekly, so I should have another one out hopefully by next Friday. And it's been a project, it's been a process, and it's been fun, and there's still a lot more to go. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Y'all have a good day.